dabbing at his right earlobe, and his fingertips came away with blood on them. "Right," he said. "You're out." He had never been in a fight in his life, but he had taken 3 jiu-jitsu lessons when he was working for Newham Council. He seized the lapels of the man's overcoat and tried to swing him around so that he could force him along the hallway and out of the front door. But the man was far too heavy and far too strong, and he seemed almost to be glued to the floor. He pushed Kenneth again, even harder this time, so that Kenneth lost his grip on his lapels and fell over backwards. As he tried to climb back up onto his feet, the man reached into his overcoat and tugged out a large black automatic pistol. Holding it in both hands, he pointed it directly up at Kenneth's face and said harshly, "I warned you, didn't I, mate? I fucking warned you! Don't say I didn't!" He pulled the trigger, and there was a deafening bang. Kenneth's nose was blown inwards, and the back of his head exploded, so that blood and glistening beige lumps of his brain tissue were sprayed up the striped wallpaper behind him. "What's happening? What was that noise?" screamed Gemma from the bedroom. "Ken, what's happened?" Kenneth collapsed onto the floor, with gun smoke curling lazily above his head. As the man pushed his automatic back into his overcoat, he shook his head and tutted, as if he were disappointed that Kenneth had forced him to take such drastic action. Then he bent down, took hold of the collar of Kenneth's anorak, and started to drag his body along the hallway. Gemma had hastily wrapped herself in her pink dressing gown, and she came to the top of the stairs just as the man reached the front door. "Stop!" she screamed. "Stop!" The man stopped and turned around, staring back up at her. The expression on his face was enough to freeze her. Although he was so stocky, she was struck by how disproportionately short his legs were. He seemed to be wearing no shoes. In fact, he appeared to have no feet. When he turned back and started to bump Kenneth's body over the front step, she could see that his trouser turn-ups were trailing along the floor. She stumbled down the stairs, but she was too late. The man had rolled Kenneth's body off the side of the brick steps that led up to the front door into the steeply sloping bed of japonica, and then walked off. She rushed outside, too shocked and horrified even to scream anymore. She looked frantically up and down the street, but the pavements were deserted, and there was no sign of the man anywhere. She dropped to her knees beside Kenneth's body, whispering, "Ken, can you hear me?" His face was a grisly mess, although his eyes were open. But then his body rolled over, and she saw the back of his head, and her whole world fell inwards. Chapter 2. "I'm sincerely hoping you haven't had your breakfast yet," said the lead crime scene investigator, leading them along the hallway. He was totally bald, with bulging green eyes and enormous ears, and in his baggy white Tyvek suit, his head appeared to be too small for him. His name was Derek Grant, but Jerry had always thought that he looked like an alien from a 1950s sci-fi movie, so he called him the Martian. "Actually, I was planning on having beans on toast, but the bread had gone green," Jerry told him. He paused when they reached the living room door and said, "It's one of those then, is it? A PYGU?" "Well, it's unusual, I'll give you that. I've never come across anything like it, and I've been doing this for 15 years now." Edge said, "Maybe I'd better wait outside. I had chicken biryani." "You're having a laugh. For breakfast. I fell asleep last night before I finished my takeaway. Anyway, I like cold curry." "Jesus, I thought your breath was a bit on the ripe side. But don't think you're not coming in to see this too. If you puke your guts up, too bad." 2 uniformed officers had met them outside when they...